I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're speaking with Dennis Bryant. He is the author of a very important book. It is called Responsibilities of a Man, Understanding What It Means to Be a Man. He has embarked on a spiritual journey to redefine manhood in a contemporary context. His insights touch upon key responsibilities that every man should consider in order to lead a fulfilling life. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank our team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing this wonderful book. Dennis, thanks so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
I want to thank you, Logan, for the opportunity to be here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. This is an important book. What it means to be a man in 2023 is a lot different than it was in 1946 or 1973. What compelled you to write this book?
You know, Logan, growing up in Southern Georgia, it was a lot different, especially when I joined the military, coming from a divorce myself, remarrying, having kids from my first marriage and then marrying into a new marriage, and my wife had her kids. And so I never really got it down packed of what it really meant to be a man, a father, a husband, a Christian, a true provider. And so along some bad mistakes or some not good choices, I began to learn some things.
It's tough when you're a divorced dad. It seems like the entire world is against you.
Yeah.
The court system's against you. Uh, their mom is often against you. Trying to stay connected with your children is a huge challenge. And that, I presume, is one of the responsibilities of a man in 2023 and beyond, is to be a strong father. But it's tough because there are obstacles put in your way, right?
Yes, yes. You know, and it can get so frustrating that as men, sometimes we just want to give up. And then we get so frustrated with even the court systems and even with even the mother or the parent that actually has the custodial rights. And we find ourselves pointing fingers, and it actually makes it more frustrating.
Yeah.
And so, you know, this book is just, you know, trying to give us motivation not to give up and to remember our responsibilities, which is to the child, regardless of whatever is going on, and to ourselves, because we're still held accountable for the children that we have.
Absolutely, absolutely. It can be a tough task. Like you said, the court system seems like it's against you. Custody goes to the mother 99% of the time. It's a challenge, but like you said, it's a matter of stepping up and facing that challenge, just like you're in the military. I mean, the odds can be daunting against you sometimes, but that doesn't mean you back off. That doesn't mean you surrender. You talk about 4 areas of responsibility for a man in the book, which are God, self, family, and the church, as well as community. Tell us a little bit about this.
You know, start with the first: responsibilities to God. As a Christian, one of the main things God has taught a man is that he is supposed to be the priest of the home, the leader in the aspect, being the first created. And so, as we understand that to be the point, we should be the leader of the home, which means that we should be the spiritual head in a sense. But the only way we could be that is if we are connected to God Himself, which means that if we're not connected to Him, we cannot represent Him in the right manner in that aspect. And we must understand what it means to have unconditional love. That's what God had, unconditional love. And so we must show humanity, not just our family and friends, but all humanity, you know, unconditional love. And next thing, to ourselves, we must keep it, as the younger generation would say back in the day, like my kids, keep it 100.
Mhm.
We must be real with ourselves. You know, being real with yourself is being honest about the kids you have fathered. Be honest with, you know, humility. Be honest with your record. You know, even myself, I have a felony, you know, due to my PTSD and from drinking. You know, thank God I've overcome that. Through God, I've been able to, you know, overcome all of that. A responsibility to your family. Can't stress that, you know, can't stress that enough. Treating your wife or even your girlfriend the correct way that she should be, you know, treated. Your family members, you know, if you see them in need, take care of them, help them out. You know, as the old saying go, you know, teach them how to fish, you know, so they can always have something to eat in a sense, you know. Church and community. One of the things in the community is that the church is the community. It's not the building, it's the community. And so when there are injustices going on, get involved. That doesn't mean you have to go out and march and rally or whatever, but do it in your way. Find what way that you can help with those injustices and take part in it.
Do you feel like we touched upon it a little bit before that, men have many obstacles today that they didn't have before? Do you feel that society is kind of like stacking the odds up against men? I mean, it just feels like in 2023, it's a tough time to be a man. Even our role models have changed. I mean, it used to be like Clint Eastwood and Burt Reynolds, and now it's, I don't even know who, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we don't have those masculine role models anymore either, right?
It's interesting because, the names that you have given, we have always, and I can say always, but we have looked to them as role models. But to be honest with you, one of the best role models I have found is a man that is vulnerable, a man that is open, a man that is willing to show his emotion and his feelings. Why is that a model? As men, we go through things. You spoke about being divorced, which I have been divorced, and that was a very trying time in my life. Growing up, I was taught not to cry, not to show emotions, that if you did that, then you was, considered weak.
Right.
And a man doesn't want to be considered weak, because if a man considered weak, then he take advantage of, talked about, and so forth. And so because of that, men didn't really show emotions. But when we begin to show emotion and vulnerable, what we are showing our family and what we're showing society is that we have feelings as well. Not only that, is what happens is we begin to unravel some of these things that we have never dealt with. This is where that mental health comes in at. There are several of us that have been raised by, luckily I have both my mother and father, but there are several men who were raised in one parent households. And that can have a really lasting effect on a man, because he may not have really understood, especially if he didn't have a role model, of what his responsibility are. And so now he's searching, he's looking, but no one has really showed him or taught him, and he's never really seen what a healthy male relationship is supposed to look like. And so now everything society is saying that we're supposed to do, everything that is put on us, we're trying to, and so men are trying to figure out, okay, so which way do I do it? How do I do it? And so all this is just compacted and compacted. And at the same time, we're holding on to it because we can't really express it. And so we need to learn how to express these things. And so the role model is a man that is ready to be vulnerable and open with his kids, his family, and with society, and say, hey, listen, I hurt and I have emotions and feelings as well.
Exactly. And it's great advice to get beyond the cinematic portrayal of what a man is and realize that a man has feelings and concerns and emotions just like any other person. So I think that is important. In your book, you also talk about 4 categories of responsibility to God: fear, love, obedience, and worship. Tell us a little bit about balancing these responsibilities in today's world.
In the book, one thing I spoke about was fear of my father, and I gave the analogy that, and I can still remember it today. My father wore this black belt around his pants. He worked at a plywood company, and he chewed this particular tobacco. I can't, the name won't come to mind. Levi tobacco is what it was called. I don't know if they even make it anymore now. But he chewed it for so much they actually sent him a belt buckle. And so he wore it on his belt, and that I was fearful of that belt. And so he used it on me one time. And one time he used that belt on me, he never had to use it again. So that was fear for me. And so I took that as, so when I ever heard the term fear God, that's what it was. It was terrifying fear. But that's not what it meant. Fear for God means reverence, respect, adoration, awe. And so it's different. But that same fear of what I have for my father, of scaredness, of not wanting to get in trouble, not wanting to get a whipping, I also had respect for him as well. Because what? He was a provider. He was a man. He was my father, just like God is my father. Secondly, worshiping. In today's society is another reason that we find that we worship many different things. We worship celebrities. We worship cars, for example, money. We have different items that we find ourselves worshiping out there, even women or certain body types, as well. But worshiping God means, committing a self of commitment to Him, that He becomes your object. Because if you worship Him in true worship, you give Him love, and because of that unconditional love, you learn how to give love to every human being, regardless of race or ethnicity or culture, because it's love, because you learn how to love God.
That's wonderful advice. What do you hope readers take away from this book?
I would say my main points, if I could, main point to really sum it up is that no matter where you are as a man, no matter where you have been as a man, you still have responsibilities. Even if you don't even have any children, you still have responsibilities. Learn your responsibilities. Take these responsibilities. Fulfill these responsibilities. And as you're fulfilling these responsibilities, make sure that you help other men fulfill their responsibilities. So whatever negative aspects that we have received in society, we can change that stigma around and make it more positive for us in the world of today.
Wonderful.
So that really is my main outlook I wanted to take away.
Well, it's a great message. You're very articulate. You're very impassioned on this. You're very connected to God. Are you active in your church? Tell us a little bit about your spiritual journey.
Yes, I'm very active in church. I have pastored 2 churches down in Florida. Once I left there, me and my wife, we started our own ministry here in the Fayetteville, Georgia area, right outside of Atlanta, where it's called Rare Ministry. And our main focus in there is just helping people become who God wants them to be. So that's overcoming things like marital challenges, divorce, mental health, which is really our biggest thing. Trauma. Like I said, I suffer from PTSD coming from Iraq and Afghanistan war. And so those are our biggest things. We give back to the country of Belize, minority scholarships. And so that's where we're at in our ministry. We want to revive and awaken those who feel that they are lost and have went through some things and just trying to overcome the negativity in the world of today.
Wonderful. How can people find out more about your ministry?
They can go to my name. Yeah, I make it simple for everyone to just find us. And they can just go to DennisVBryant.com. And there they can reach out to us, sign up, and we can send them any information they want. And they can donate to these different areas that we have as well as purchase this book and my other book as well, which is a 30-day devotional book for those that are recovering from addiction.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we've been talking to Dennis V. Bryant. He is the author of a terrific book, taking a look at how the concepts of manhood have changed over the years and what it means to be a man right now in these times. The name of the book is Responsibilities of Man, Understanding What It Means to Be a Man. It is a great book. It is a spiritual journey, if you will, an effort to redefine manhood in a contemporary context. Dennis, thanks so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you, Logan. It's really been a joy being here with you today.
It's been a true pleasure, my friend. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.